Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Great to have your company on this Monday morning. Another edition of Often Pacing. Got our expert team standing by, Ollie Cownie and Matt Young. Ryan Bell's going to join us this half hour as well. We'll have a chat about his runners today at Pinjarra and what was a pretty successful weekend with a couple of winners at Northam and also one at Gloucester Park on Friday night. But that's to come, and off the back of 4-year-old championship night here at Gloucester Park, it is great to have Matt Young with us on the program. Hello, Matt.
Good morning again to you, Tim and Ollie.
Ollie, good morning to you as well.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Tim.
And Ollie, you were over here in the West. Did you enjoy your short little stay here?
Oh, I loved it. I don't think there's anywhere better to watch racing in Australia than at Gloucester Park. It really feels like you're up close and personal there on the half-mile track. So, yeah, I loved it.
Oh, fantastic. And, of course, we had the 4-year-old championship, which we'll get into in just a moment. And all eyes this week turn to the Mayor's Classic, where the barrier draw is going to be on Tab Radio tomorrow morning on the Sports Daily. So just after 8:30, stay tuned for that and also Matt's preview of the Gloucester Park program. We'll get a little look at that in just a moment. Of course, some winners for tomorrow night as well. But the Mayor's Classic this Friday night at Gloucester Park, barrier draw tomorrow morning on Tab Radio. Let's get stuck in, though, to Friday night, gents, and we had the running of the 4-year-old championship, the second part of this series of 4-year-old races, and the attention now moves to the Nugget, to the 4-year-old Classic, of course, in 11 days' time, and the Nugget a further 2 weeks after that. OK Boomer on Friday night. Matt, you were here. What did you make of OK Boomer's win?
Yeah, he's a really nice horse, OK Boomer, and he was able to lead. And I guess the indication that you get is if OK Boomer didn't draw the lead, he would have been probably double figures. So that sort of gives an idea of how wide open the 4-year-old ranks are outside of obviously Mr. Smarty and Never Ending. So, yeah, the barrier draw is definitely going to play a strong hand in the Nugget going forward. And but yeah, without those two, it's a pretty wide open sort of bunch of 4-year-olds, and OK Boomer was really gutsy. Sorodero, I think, is in just dazzling form at the moment, so he was really good. And yeah, there's a few nice performances in the race. I think Lusaka's really starting to improve nicely. He just needs an opportunity. I really want to see him just be able to get a genuine crack at them and not have to rely on a little bit of luck, because we just know how good he is. So, yeah, there's a few nice takeaways out of that race and some nice horses to follow.
Ollie, what was your take on it?
I thought exactly the same as Matt in terms of we have a couple really good horses to throw into the mix here, but outside of those two horses, it's just an extremely even bunch, and anything that draws to advantage is likely to go around shortest. And as we saw there on Friday night, OK Boomer had the draw and eventually was able to zip home a pretty nice last half and was able to win the race. And as Matt mentioned, Sorodero was fantastic. Again, he's just never gone better. He's absolutely flying. And on the Black Flash, I thought was another one that was pretty good in behind them, was pushed wider on the track and was still making good ground to the line. I think the jury's out a little bit on Sky Lou. He's probably going to need to draw well in the big race to recapture that form we saw him win the Derby.
All the indications going into Friday night was that he was going as well as ever. And Junior, we spoke to him on Friday morning on the GP preview, Matt, and he was confident that the horse was going as well as ever. But it just feels as though, Ollie, you're spot on there, that he does need a draw to be right there in the thick of things. That's the 4-year-old championship there on Friday night. Let's get some more horses to follow, and we'll let you fire off first here, Ollie. Who did you want to start with as a horse to follow from Friday?
I thought in race 6, this is a horse that's just been really good since joining the stable of Cody Waldrot in the Boats Day. He's just been able to do work in his races and has still finished right thereabouts at the end. And he was gallant in defeat in second. He did all the work there on Friday and was just beaten by High Price, who got that perfect run on his back. So I definitely think when the Boaster is able to lead a race soon, he will be very hard to catch. I thought in race 9, Me Flash, when you look at the race about 400 from home, it's hard to really believe this horse got into third. So I thought he was fantastic there. He made up a stack of ground and he was well beaten by Spicy Major, but I think Spicy Major is quite a handy horse. So certainly no knock being beaten 16 metres by him. And I think Me Flash, when able to get up on speed again, will be really hard to beat in a race soon. And out of race 10, I thought the run of My Hammer Down, he was beaten 13 metres and he ran fourth in that race, but I thought his effort was fantastic. He worked extremely hard in the early stages and he worked through the middle as well. And he's just a 2-year-old, hasn't done much racing. So I thought he was fantastic there. And the horse that he was challenging for the lead in the early stages ended up getting beat 100 metres. So to be beaten 13 metres by My Hammer Down was really good.
All right. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, well, I'm going to mention firstly Relatively Armour, who I think has been racing in tremendous form all the way through probably her last 4 or 5 starts. She hasn't had too many favourable draws, and I thought she's been racing really well, and her run in the Oaks was really good. And then Friday night she was sort of held up at a vital point before getting into the clear, and she really sizzled to the line. So I think she's just a draw away from winning one of these 3-year-old fillies races, or at least being incredibly competitive. So I had her as my first horse to follow. I thought Goodfellas was outstanding. His previous 2 runs he'd been held up, and Chris Lewis showed the indication that he wanted to hold the breeze in that race, and I thought the run was really strong. Good time, stuck on really well. And even in saying that, I think the Mickey Taker out of the same race, just on a side note, was a really strong performance considering 3 deep basically the trip, and 154.9 I think was the mile rate officially, and he was only beaten like 14 metres. So I think that's a good form race. Looking forward for those 2 horses, Goodfellas and also the Mickey Taker. And Lusaka, as mentioned before, I thought Lusaka, he's had 2 non-favourable draws, and I think when we can see him get into a position where he can dominate, he's going to be really hard to beat in his next race run, because his 2 runs he's been really savaging the line. So those are the ones to follow. I'm going to make it 4 instead of 3. Relatively Armour, Goodfellas and the Mickey Taker, and Lusaka.
All right, that is from Friday nights. The boats to Me Flash, My Hammer Down for Ollie and Matt. Relatively Armour, Goodfellas and Lusaka. Now we turn our attention to today at Pinjarra, and hopefully we can find a few winners to kickstart the week before we look to Gloucester Park tomorrow night. So we'll let you go first here, Matt. You're going nice and early, race number 2 for the first of your 3.
Yeah, I'm happy to be with She's All Go on an each-way basis. I just thought She's All Go's been racing really well, really consistently, and I was still a little bit of a query over Charavari, who's coming up short in the market, and yeah, I just thought She's All Go is probably flying under the radar a little bit. She's racing really consistently, so I was happy to be with her on an each-way basis in race number 2. And then we push on to the latter part of the program. I was keen on Chili Punter in race 8. I thought she'd run a cracking race, so Chili Punter, happy to be with her and marked her as one of the better bets of the day. And in race number 9, I was happy to be with Jimmy Rock, so I think he's racing in tremendous form. And he's owned by the Pinjarra members, so it'd be really nice to see him get a win at the Trotting Club today, because a lot of them will be on track and they'll be filing out into the track for a photo. So race 9, number 7, Jimmy Rock. Race 8, number 3, Chili Punter. And early in the day on an each-way basis, race 2, number 2, She's All Go.
All right, so that is for Matt today. And we've got fixed odds that are starting to filter through. About half of the card is up now. Now, Ollie, you're also going to race number 2. Matt was She's All Go. What was your take on the second event this afternoon?
I was happy to be with Charavari in that second race. I think it's a horse with a bit of ability. On debut, ran a really good race there behind Mr. Moonwalker, and it is crunch time. I think they're both handy enough horses. Has definitely improved. Byford Trial was pretty good prior to resuming last start, and last start it was just a bit of a weird race. Charavari had the leader's back trail, and as a new immature horse, I just don't think it knew what it was doing once it hit the front in the home straight, and Agent Andy was able to run past there in the end. So I definitely don't think Charivari went poorly there and does seem to have a little bit of natural speed. So I think Charivari can roll through and over the mile will take plenty of catching there, I think. Also respect She's Old Goa. I do think she is going fantastic. So agree with Matt's thoughts there as well.
Now, the next of yours?
Next to mine was in race 6 and one that Matt mentioned on the preview, Mickey's Beach. I think this horse is a horse with a stack of ability. Was really impressive there first up. Ran home a 26.5 quarter at Pinjarra, which is fantastic going. This race is a lot stronger. There's a really good field here, and Wave Rider will be awfully hard to beat if able to lead. But I just thought Mickey's Beach could get a really good run into this, potentially 1 out 2 back or 1 out 3 back. And with the speed he's got around Pinjarra, I think you can totally forgive that last run around Gloucester Park. He seems to race best around the bigger track. So I think here at Pinjarra, he will take plenty of beating if there's any speed on, but I'm happy to be with him each way. And then in race 9, there's another one here that I think can be saved for one run at them late and can be really hard to hold out in Quinton. I was a little bit of a query on Pete's Honour being a month between runs. I thought he is quite a nice horse, and if he's able to lead and dictate, he'll certainly take some beating. But I think Quinton can take the 1-1 cover on Jimmy Ross there, and he can potentially just be saved for one sprint at them, and he's got a really nice turn of foot and has been racing in strong company. So I think Quinton at a decent price there will be really hard to beat.
Okay, so that is Charivari, Mickey's Beach and Quinton for Ollie there. Matt, with She's All Go, Chili Punter as his best of the day, and Jimmy Rocks. Now markets are up for each and every one of those races at Pinjarra today. The last Quinton there at $4.20, Jimmy Rocks $2.50, Pete's Honour the $1.90 favourite in the lucky last at Pinjarra today. So all of those are now up with Tab Touch. So we can turn our attention then to tomorrow night. And Ollie, we'll start with you for this Gloucester Park program. What did you like at this early stage?
In race 2, I think Sugar Apple was one of the biggest certainties beat of all time. Their last start, he went to pull out, and I think he hit a wheel and galloped and knocked over half the field, but he galloped right out of it and was clear last of the main competitive bunch. And then you see him on the home turn, and he's flying home, and he's ended up running 5th there, which is pretty incredible. I thought if he wasn't to gallop at the stage he did, he would have won that race pretty comfortably. I don't think this is much tougher. He's got a bit of gate speed, and Major Freeway's not a horse that's blessed with much gate speed. So if Sugar Apple was able to shoot onto the front, I think he'd be winning, and it would just be a case of times and margins there. And then in race 6, I thought another one that we could potentially multi-up with Sugar Apple if we don't get a decent price for both of them was Tumble and Dice. This horse last start was just held up, nowhere to go on the leader's back there, and looked to be travelling pretty easily. Has very good gate speed, this horse. I think Lurzy would be happy to take a sit on it anyway, and in that field, I think Tumble and Dice will take plenty of catching.
All right, so that is Sugar Apple and Tumble and Dice there in race number 6. Matt, you're going to the opening event of tomorrow night's card.
Yeah, look, I like the way Cooper's Ideal hit the line last start, and I thought this horse has got a bit of gate speed, could be able to potentially bounce on the bunny and get across to the lead. And these 1 to 3 fillies races are really dominated by horses that are able to find the top. We've seen Heart of Alia win, Miss Unique, Copy of Paris, Naze Vera. There's been plenty that have won these races, and as soon as they get to the top, they're incredibly hard to beat. So I thought Cooper's Ideal might be able to work forward and get to the top here and use some of that speed, and from there be very hard to beat. So that was a bit of a spec, and we're going to stick with Madison Brown in race 6, number 2, Tumble and Dice. Agree fully with Ollie. I thought Tumble and Dice would just lead and win. Basically, he's a really good front runner. I know Brody Boy's to his outside, who's a quick beginner, but Tumble and Dice is very fast. I think he'll be able to hold up. And from there, he's had zero luck as of late, and he's a good front-running type, and I think he'll get the job done. So race 6, number 2, hopefully Madison Brown's looking at a double after race 1, number 4, Cooper's Ideal starts the day right.
All right, Sugar Apple, Tumble and Dice for Ollie, Cooper's Ideal, Tumble and Dice for Matt. All right. Of course, as I said, gents, the Mares Classic is coming up this Friday night. We've got the barrier draw tomorrow morning on the Sports Daily. Matt, that'll be either side of your preview tomorrow, of course, of GP on the Sports Daily from 8:35. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We've got the all-in markets that have been up with Tab Touch for quite some time, and it is very much centred around two mares, that being Steno and Artie by the Seaside. Barrier draw, as is always the case, is so very critical. Did you boys have a leaning one way or the other? Ollie, start with you.
I think Steno, with that just outstanding gate speed she's got, is going to be really hard to beat. But she showed the other day in a free-for-all against the boys that she can make up ground off a sit as well. She's a really fast horse. So I think that showed another string to her bow, and I'm happy to be with her.
All right, Matt?
Yeah, look, I think it's sort of settled by barrier draw. Steno, if she draws to hold the advantage over Artie by the Seaside, I think one of those two will probably win the race. But if they both draw unfavourably, then it becomes a very wide open event. But yeah, at this stage, I'd say Steno, she's got a few strings to her bow, and I think she's getting better, and she's going to be the hardest to beat. But at the moment, before the barrier draw, I think, what price is she in with Tab Touch, around that 190 mark?
Well, Steno, when I saw earlier on today, the market has come down, obviously, with the final field to be assembled today and into tomorrow morning. It was $2.25 and $3.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's short enough in the market, especially you're taking those sort of odds about hopefully a better barrier draw. So I think at this point I'd be waiting until the draw and then reassessing for a future bet.
All right. Very nicely done. Thank you, gents, for your time this morning. Matt, we'll be able to catch you on the Racing WA Harness X page.
Yeah, indeed.
And Ollie, we'll catch up with you again later on in the week on Talking Trots. And, of course, we'll be able to hear from you again next Monday morning.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Tim.
There is Ollie Cownie and also Matt Young giving us their thoughts on the next 24 to 48 hours of pacing here in the West. We'll take a short break. Ryan Bell will be with us on the other side.
On Tab Radio, Racing and Sport, this is Often Pacing.
Great to have your company on this Monday morning. It is great to have Ryan Bell with us on the program this morning to have a look at his team today at Pinjarra. Ryan, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. How are we going?
Yeah, going well. I know it's a busy morning, so do appreciate your time. Firstly, the weekend just gone. It's been a good weekend for the team. A winner there Friday night, and obviously a couple of winners there as well on Saturday night. Were you pretty happy with how you walked away from the weekend?
Yeah, on paper, it looked like we might get a couple of winners. A bit of Hillview Bondi. We thought if we could hold up, he'd go good because that's his style of racing. And, the couple on Saturday, I was pretty confident about that they'd win. And, chockies all round. Yeah, so you're pretty happy with the way that Hillview Bondi went about it there on Friday night, and I see you've nominated him for the free-for-all this week. Yeah, he's just that type of horse, Timmy. He needs to be up on the pace, and if you don't drive him like you stole him, he's not worth a pinch of salt, really. Yep. Well, that baby just went up the truck. So he's just that type of horse, and when he can get in conditions like, and Aiden being 3 deep, carving his one up actually helped him stay on the bit and keep rolling, which is good. Don't miss a chance to talk about Aiden DeCampo, do you? Keyword carve up. I'm sure there'll be a reply that comes in time. So just on the free-for-allers, if we can stick in that zone, swing band from the Pacing Cup 10 days ago. How did you walk away from Gloucester Park with his performance there on that occasion? Gutted. Yeah. He went awful. Yep. But he did pull up. By the time I got home, he had a swollen leg and I couldn't work out why. And he must have hit himself when he was flushing Aiden, because the next day he had a massive hematoma on his leg. So, of course, something like that had to happen in the Pacing Cup. Okay. So he was just too bad to be true. Yep. Him. Like he everything worked out perfect. Kyle drove him a treat and he just didn't let down. But you can't let down when imagine having a rubber mallet and hitting the bottom of your knee, you know.
Yeah.
It would have hurt.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but he's all good. He'll start in a couple of weeks' time. He's all good, and thank God it was only something like that and nothing serious like we thought it was.
Okay, so do you just keep him ticking over through the summer and then start focusing in on what's to come over the April and May period?
Yeah, I think so. He's fresh in the camp, in the prep, and apart from that issue, he's actually very well within himself. And the Pacing Cups just seems to be a jinx for myself and Kevin Gemmers at the moment for the last 4 years. It's just whatever can go wrong in it or leading up to it has managed to achieve that lately. So it's just another thing we need to forget about and move on.
Yeah, well, let's hope that there is a change of fortune in that race going forward. Okay, let's turn our attention to today. Now, speaking to Ollie and Matt earlier on, Matt was obviously keen to be against Charavari. Ollie's keen to be with Charavari in race number 2 on the program today. What do you tell our listeners? Should they be with or against Charavari today?
Look, I'm pretty confident he'll lead and he should win, but take on trust. I don't think he's a very genuine horse, but we do expect him to lead and be hard to beat. Okay.
Well, how did you come?
Who did Matt tip?
Matt was with She's All Go, drawn alongside you.
Yeah, good luck.
Right.
It will have to breathe and win, and I don't think it's good enough to breathe and win if that's what they want to do.
Yep. No, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure Matt will be listening in as well, so that might be another one that fires back at you before too long.
I'm sure they will.
How did you come away? You just spoke about perhaps not the most genuine horse you've got on your hands here in Charavari. How did you walk away from last Monday?
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
He didn't let down like he should have. Fitness was against him, but still should have been forward enough to take advantage of it. Hence why I've put the blinkers on. Can't pinpoint anything apart from just not very genuine going to the line. So that's why we put the blinkers on, and Kyle will keep him on the chewy and keep him rolling even sectionals today and see if he likes it that way a bit better. He's actually, I think there's a nice horse there. I just don't think there's a very genuine horse. So I've just got to give him a couple more starts, and maybe we might have to give him a real good break and bring him back mid-season as a 3-year-old. Okay,
now you've got EJY in race number 4. Obviously a tricky draw to contend with there. Are you just hoping that this one is run upside down?
Yeah, too hard for her. She somehow managed to win a race a couple of starts ago. So we'll take that and do our best from here on in. Okay, and now Wave Rider. So I feel like he's going along okay. Obviously it was tough going in the Derby last time out, but was still not too bad at the back end of that, I thought. But how's he done in the 2.5 weeks since then? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with him, Tim. He's working good. He didn't have much luck in those 2 major races in the Derby. He should have won the Westbred. He was disappointing, no questions asked about that. And, but we found he had a bit of a virus after Westbred. We managed to get him through. Luck in running was against him in the lead-up race to the Derby and the Derby. Yeah. Like Danny managed to get past that scrimmage and he copped the backlash of it. And he's not that type of horse. He is a colt, and he did spit the dummy once he got a checkered path. So, again, just if you go back through his record, he's been real good up on the pace. So maybe we were too negative in the way we drove him in those 2 races as well. Who knows? But you live and learn, and unfortunately for us, we learnt in the 2 major races, which is unlucky, but I'm happy with him, and Kyle is instructed to drive a positive race and see where we're at. Good field though. Yeah. By all means, he's going to have to be at his top to win today, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's some nice horses in that race. It's a really intriguing event, albeit Wave Rider, deservedly so, is a short price favourite, the 6 on the program. All right, just before we do let you go, Shockwave, we know he's standing at stud. What's the interest levels been like around him?
Yeah, real good, Tim. On paper, we had about 40 inquiries. He's served, I think he's served about 24 at the moment, and 23 of them have come back with positive tests. So we're just waiting on the last couple, and a few of the people that inquired are waiting for their mares to drop a foal before they go to him. So we thought if we got 25 for the season, for a first season and Westbred, and we're doing a pretty good job, and it looks like we're going to achieve that and plus some. So we're wrapped with him. He's doing a real good job at his caper. His semen, from what they tell me, I don't really know much about it, but it's every time he goes for a jump, his semen is sitting around the 86 to 88% live or active, however they say it, every load. So, yeah, positive signs, and yeah, the interest in him has been quite rewarding, which is good.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time this morning. We know you're busy. Appreciate it. Good luck today.
Appreciate it, Tim. Thanks, mate.
There is Ryan Bell rounding out off and pacing for another Monday morning. All right, it is Mares Classic night, Friday night. As I said, barrier draw tomorrow morning on the Sports Daily after 8:30, the barrier draw and Matt's preview. So plenty of harness racing coming your way here on Tab Radio. And don't forget the Racing WA Harness X page today for full coverage of the Pinjarra meeting, and also tomorrow night as well down here at Gloucester Park. We'll be back again next Monday morning. We'll be in the lead up to the 4-year-old Classic, which will be so very exciting. And in the meantime, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Leah Ernest for race day here on Tab Radio. Stay tuned. Plenty more on the other side of the break.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.